This isn't the Barcelona the world knew, they're different now. With new theories, new tactics, and a system overload that's turning these guys into monsters, Hansi Flick is all set to make Barcelona dominate Europe for years again. A couple of months back, it seemed like all was fine at the club. After imploding on live TV, Xavi Hernandez, Barca's head coach at the time, had publicly announced that he was stepping down from his role as head coach, only for him to reverse his decision, and a few weeks before the end of the season, he was out permanently. Hansi Flick became the new head coach of the team, and for those of you who remember, yeah, he's got quite a bit of history with Barca too. 8-2 brings it up. 3 games into the season and Hansi Flick has already remolded this Barcelona team. They're different now. And perhaps the most obvious one is how they look now. They're fitter and strong physically, and back in his days at Bayern Munich, Hansi Flick was known for turning players into physically stronger versions of themselves, those rep pictures of players like Lewandowski and Goretzka. Yeah, they were at Bayern Munich. He's come to Barcelona now and continued the same trend. This man here is Julio Teus, and he's Hansi Flick's secret to achieving his imposing beast on the field. Julio Teus is a fitness coach who previously worked with Antonio Conte at Juventus, Italy, Chelsea, Inter Milan, and Tottenham, and Flick immediately set out to cancel a worrying trend that cost Barcelona last season. He wants his players fitter and stronger to run and last more because he knows how key this is in a season. In the previous campaign, they lost 5 games all season, but there's something striking about the manner of the defeats that Flick and Julio Teus are looking to counter. In the 5 league games they lost last season, 2 against Real Madrid, 2 against Girona, and 1 against Villarreal, they conceded 12 goals after the 60-minute mark, and breaking this into context, they didn't have the energy to run as much as they could at the start after 60 minutes and trailed off. Flick and Teus are fixing it, even the president and some of the players can testify. I see a lot of intensity in the training. When I spoke with Julio Teus, he told me they are using different methods now. The exercises and training are really dynamic and there is a lot of strength work. We have a coach that wants to press until the 90th minute. It was Joan Laporta speaking here, Barcelona's president, and even he could admit that the squad wasn't as fit as they could have been under Xavi. The players? We work harder than before. The new fitness coaches are really good for us. We work hard and you notice it in games. The team doesn't dip after the 70th or 80th minute. It maintains the same fitness levels. Pedri, Barcelona's golden boy from 2021. But it's not only in fitness levels Flick has improved the squad. From a tactical standpoint, he's different from anything Barcelona has had in years. Ever since Luis Enrique left the club in 2015, every other manager that's come in has followed a similar tactical approach: possession-based football. The likes of Ernesto Valverde, Ronaldo Koeman, and Xavi, all coaches who opted to use a similar tactical pattern in games. Flick is different. It's not to say he doesn't want his team keeping the ball or taking control of a game, but he doesn't rely on possession as much as his predecessors did. In fact, he rarely does. Why? Flick is different. Flick is direct. He still managed to keep the origins of that Barcelona DNA, but his approach to games is unique. On paper, Flick's Barcelona operates in a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 formation, but in reality, there's no real tactical shape to it. Under Xavi, Barcelona is known for attacking in a 3-2-5 system, with players having fixed positions across the pitch, and the truth is, towards the end of the last season, Barcelona had become predictable. They get the ball, Lamine Yamal takes it down the right and cuts it back in, and other attempts a shot or looks for an 8 that's attacking the space. The opposition kind of figured that out, and it became harder to catch teams off guard. Hansi Flick's setup offers more freedom. The attack is more fluid. The 2-1 scoreline against Valencia, Athletic Club, and Rayo Vallecano might reveal a tight game at first glance, but taking a closer look at the chances they had, they could have scored more, and they did. 3rd game of the season, and Barcelona was rampant. Trashed Valladolid 7-0, Rafinha bagged a hat-trick. When attacking, Hansi Flick doesn't rely on building out from the back. Instead, he wants his team pushing up and trying to attack the opposition with progressive ball carriers and balls fizzed into attacking players as quickly as possible. These center backs push high up the pitch, and when they don't, or when they have the ball deep in their half, goalkeeper Marc-Andre ter Stegen will join both center backs to almost act as an auxiliary 3, receiving the ball and baiting an attack before releasing a pass. When teams try to press them, that's when Barcelona revert to a system they've been benefiting from under Flick. In a double pivot role, before his ACL injury, Marc Bernal was the one who sat deepest and acted as a decoy in receiving the ball. Truth is, most teams are always going to attempt a press on the opposition's holding midfielder, preventing him from turning and accessing options going forward. To counter this, I'll tell you what Flick does in a couple of seconds, but first, need you take out an extra few seconds to subscribe to Total Footy? Helps the channel grow and gives you exclusive updates to more content like this, so you don't miss out on anything. Back to Hansi Flick. And to bait the opposition pressing a 6, that's where Pedri comes in. He drops deep to receive the ball, making it a double pivot in midfield and creating a 2 versus 1 overloading in that area of the opposition's attack. What happens when the opposition then decides to overload that area of the pitch? Well, Barcelona still has the advantage, and again, it's all down to Flick's setup. No one has played more down the middle of the pitch than Barcelona. They average most of their plays per 90 at 31% down the middle, the most in the league. When they operate as a double pivot, it's already 2 in there. And when the opposition tries to overload that area, the advanced midfielder drops, as does either Rafinha down the left or Lewandowski in the middle. The overload is always there. It's not as if Flick's Barcelona don't use the wings though, they're utilizing this space in different ways. Rafinha has been in terrific form for Barcelona this season. He's enjoying the benefits of this new system. He isn't fixed to a position down the left like he was under Xavi, meaning he has the license to come in deep and get involved in the central areas of the play. And the results are goals like this. 3 goals and 3 assists in 4 league games, including a hat-trick against Real Valladolid. He's in some form. So it's crazy to think that of all channels, Barcelona has used the left the least number of times, and again, it's all down to Flick and his strategy. When Rafinha drops to a more central position, the width is left to the advancing full-back, who most times is Alejandro Balde. He's tasked with delivering the ball into the box most times, and what he does provides more width by stretching the play and allowing Rafinha get central. Over to the right, it's a bit mixed up. Unlike Rafinha, Lamine Yamal, an incredibly amazing talent I should add, prefers to hug the touchline and isolate himself in a 1 versus 1s against the opposition. What this means is, when he holds the width, Jules Koundé is permitted to push up a certain extent. It's important to note that both fullbacks under Flick rarely invert, and that's because Flick wants them as high up the pitch as possible. Up front, this area excites Barcelona fans the most. Under Hansi Flick, Lewandowski hit a version of himself no one had ever seen before. Should have won the Ballon d'Or that year had it not been cancelled. This season, he's showing shades of that 2019-20 version. He's not operating as a traditional number 9 under Flick and sticking to one position. Rather, he's dropping deep and making clever runs, allowing the wingers and advanced players to get into goal-threatening positions. Barcelona has now become an effective pressing machine. They're winning the ball back a lot quicker now. Of their ball recoveries this season, 48.4% have been in the middle third and 13.2% in the final third. Last season, these percentages stood at 45.3% and 9.6% respectively. They average fewer touches per game as well, with 784.50 compared to 794.89 under Flick. But they're playing a higher number of percentages forward, 29.4% to 28% from last campaign. They're also arriving quicker in the box, 41.5 compared to last season's 40.55. When it comes to relating with players on his persona, Hansi Flick is a no-nonsense type of guy. We won't be seeing any Barcelona pregame tunnel fit shows like we used to in previous times, and that's because, instead of that, Flick has opted for the more traditional pregame tracksuits. This doesn't mean he's a Grinch still, just ask Pedri. He does have that element of being a sergeant about him, but he's as good as gold when he speaks with the players. He's close to the players, someone who likes to talk with us. Apart from being serious, he also enjoys a joke. he's not always as serious as he appears. Can't even lie, Hansi Flick deserves praise for the way he's taken charge of Barcelona. This isn't a shade on the part of Xavi, but he's not giving any excuses or blaming anyone for anything that's happened so far. Ilkay Gundogan has left the club, he's had an ACL injury to Mark Burnham. Ronaldo Araujo is injured, Andreas Christiansen is still injured, Xavi is yet to return, Ansu Fati is still out, Fermin Lopez and Frankie de Jong aren't fit. Yet he's making the best he can out of the squad he's got. It's still very early on to give a verdict on Flick yet, but with everything he's had this current Barcelona team displaying, they look like a mission in the works, and he could be very much the guy that takes them back to the top of Europe again. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below.